Hey, what's going on, y'all? Sean here, host of the Sensibly Cynical podcast. Today, I will be joined by country singer Michael Ken. I was so excited and stoked to have him on the podcast. He is a down-to-earth guy, has, been through the ups and downs of the country music scene. And this is a really amazing interview, so I'm excited to share it with you guys. Okay, here it is, my interview with Michael Ken. And with me on the line, he is a country singer and songwriter, Mr. Michael Ken. What's going on, man?
Not much. You doing all right?
Doing good, man. I got my decaf coffee, so I'm good to go. It says here your first album was in 2005. So Talk about your journey to that album and beyond.
Well, before that album, I've been playing music, not really taking it serious. And I had a cousin that was that we were little brothers, and long story short, he passed away from an aneurysm, and he pushed me for many years in music. And until he passed away, I really didn't open my eyes up to music being something that I could actually make a living doing, that people would actually listen to me, So when he passed away, I wrote my first song, "Living on Borrowed Time." And I wrote a song called "Fly On" that was on that album, which is dedicated to his life. And I just started writing all these songs, and they just poured out. And I've run into sponsors. Sponsors come along. I was playing me and a friend of mine, a guy they call Song Bear, and we were playing little, bistros and places like that, anywhere people listen to us, basically. And he had introduced me to a guy named Owen Brannick who sponsored the first album. And it was a very expensive album because I put a band together, took the band in the studio with me, which was, I didn't realize how expensive it got, Studio musicians can get it done in half the time, but you take a band that plays live into the studio, unless they've worked a lot in the recording studio, it's a lot of overtaking it. It takes, take another shot of it, keep putting it out. And, it took us a long time to get the album done, so it got to be a very expensive venture, but it was special. It was my first album, so, it all came together, and I took that album to Nashville. At the time, my songs I wrote were kind of long, and, they wasn't for radio time, as they call it. I'm not really big on, 3 minutes and 42 seconds anyway, but when you're trying to get commercial with music, you got to do that. And I didn't know that at the time. It was a good venture. I recut one of the songs off of that album for the new album that I just done. So it's been good though. But it's all a learning experience,
Yeah, I hear you. So where are you from originally?
Originally, I'm from Greensboro, North Carolina.
Okay, and then was it always your dream to be a country singer?
No, I actually started out, I thought I was a rock and roll singer. I got into country because I was born visually impaired, and I'm actually in the state of North Carolina considered legally blind. You'd never know if you met me, but I've got an eye disease called macular degeneration, which is the juvenile version that I had when I was young. It's called Stargardt's, and it's basically a visual problem where I can't see small print, like with read newspaper print without a magnifying glass. I never had a driver's license, so it's that kind of visual problem. I'm not totally blind. I don't swing a cane or anything. I do about anything I want to do, but there's nothing really has ever held me back. I've always made a way to do what I want to do.
That kind of drive, I looked into your success, and I see here in 2006 you won the Showcase Nashville Music. So talk about that.
It was interesting. My daddy had got me into it. My daddy started managing me. What happened in between there was I got some opening acts and started working with some acts out of Nashville, Travis Tritt and David Allen Coe, and quite a few other ones. And I would open up a concert for him while he was trying to get me in anything in front of anybody at the time, and he had signed me up for this talent code. I've been in Nashville long enough to know that that usually it's an expensive venture when you get to passing money. We'll say I'll be diplomatic about it, and say it's one of those things. You sometimes people will promise you something, and you spend a lot of money, and it ends up being nothing but lying in their wallet. He got me in this contest. I think it was $25 entry fee and stuff. I was like, Daddy, it's just a gimmick. That was my attitude about it. Poor attitude, I have to admit now. Well, we got in this contest. There was a lot of good singers in it. And it was a 3-day contest. I mean, it was people from Australia there. And I was like, overwhelmed with it, really. And there was people from Europe, all over Europe. And then, of course, Nashville people and people all around the United States. There's some Austin, Texas people that I met. It was kind of cool. So it turned out to be a really good thing. Just being able to play in the Gibson Auditorium in Nashville was a cool thing to do, So I go in there and I picked a song. It's kind of an old song called Chisel and Stone by Vern Gosdin. And everybody else was doing the newer country,
Mm-hmm.
And I picked the older song, done the song, went through the first round, went all the way up to and so long story short, at the end of the 3 days, they were announcing the winners. And, there was a guy named Michael before me come in second place. And they said, Michael. I said, well, it must be me because they hadn't called me out yet. And come to find out, I won it. And so that got me a tour in Europe. And I got to go tour Europe. And that was a lot of fun. It was really good.
Right.
And it got me a lot of doors open, with that. But I remained an independent artist for years. So, I don't mention record label names.
Oh, no, that's fine.
I had a major record label contact me, during a lot of this time. And I kind of didn't like the deal that was handed me. And I kind of turned it down. A lot of people thought I was crazy, but I've been doing it long enough to know that you got to be yourself, and I try to be myself now. What I am is what I am. I tell people, so I can't go and I'm not going to just for a recording contract. I'm not going to go, wear a clown suit for a few hours on stage and then go backstage and feel degraded because I wasn't me and sing songs that wasn't me. You know what I mean?
Right, because in the end, this is your outlet. This is your life. And you don't want to live, something that you're not proud of when it all said and done. You know what I mean? I understand where you're coming from.
Yeah, exactly. And I couldn't be anything but what I am, And I had friends of mine in Nashville thought I was a complete nut. I mean, they did. They were like, you're crazy. You turn that recording contract down? It's a 1-year artist development deal. And I said, look, I know what happens if I don't make the cut. And with the song that they give me, I wasn't real pleased with. So I couldn't see the way I am. If I write a song or I sing a song from somebody else, if I don't feel it in my heart and in my soul, and it don't pull me, if it don't bring me to tears or bring me to have that love emotion or whatever, I'm not going to sing it. I mean, because I believe if I feel it, you're going to feel it when I sing it. And that through the years, I've got about 7 albums out on iTunes and everywhere else that I've done over the years.
Right.
And that being said, when I recorded the new album, I Go Crazy, the very first time I heard the song I Go Crazy by Paul Davis, who wrote the song, I felt it and I believed it. And I believed it was real, that people lived this life. So I said, one day I'm going to record this song. And I did. And it's done real well. It's like up to 25,000 streams right now on Spotify. So it's done real well. But there again, I believe it. If you don't feel it, people don't believe it if you don't believe it.
Mm-hmm.
I can't just chunk songs out there that don't have any dexterity, no texture to them. You know what I mean?
Right. I was raised on country. My mom, big fan of Dwight Yoakam, old country. Now,
yeah.
So talk about the difference between old country and new country. I know that there's, a lot of people that are fans of music in general see that there's a huge difference between the two. Can you explain what your thoughts are on the difference between the two?
Well, the worst thing that ever happened to country music, in my opinion, is when they took steel guitars and fiddles out of it. I like the older country. I like the what made me want to sing country music in the beginning is because it's real life. That's at the end of the day, it's real life. I mean, there's made up songs and there's silly songs, but you know what? At the end of the day, it's real life. And I just believe that the bridge between country and the new country and the old country is there. It's just a younger generation singing about different things,
Yeah, I hear you. You know, I was really big into, I guess they're the chicks now, Martina McBride. I was into the women, you know, and of course, as a young boy, I always thought Shania Twain was super hot, you know. I always thought that, man. I was like, oh my God, you know. Who were your inspirations musically?
I always tell everybody my very first inspiration was the Eagles because the very first song I learned on guitar to sing and play on guitar was Lion Eyes from the Eagles, which was a heck of a lot of lyrics and a lot of guitar chords, but that was the first song I ever played and sang. And in my bedroom, I used to be afraid to sing in front of anybody. And when Mom and Daddy come down the hall, I would stop singing, you know, because I didn't want them to hear me because I thought, you know, you don't never know what you really sound like. You know, you're just trying to guess, right. You know. And back then, it was really a lot of unsureties. But I would say the Eagles, and there's so many people I could name. Like Keith Whitley was one of my biggest country music singers that I was really into because I forgot to tell you when I went to the school for the blind, the last couple of years of school, and I met Ronnie Millsap there because he went to the same school that I was at, and he'd come back and come back and see his old teachers, you know. Mm-hmm. And somebody said, Ronnie Millsap's out there, and I happened to be playing a guitar on one of the dorm porches as we stayed in dorms, you know. It's kind of like going to early college, you know.
Right.
And so so I went and met Ronnie Millsap, and he talked to me and some kind of music he did. And at the time, I thought I played rock and roll. I was trying to sing Skid Row and all this stuff, you know what I mean? And so he said, you ought to try some country, you know, it's your voice. So you could hear it. Now, blind people have this amazing perception of voices. It's always amazed me how talented they could hear things, you know, that maybe the normal sighted person won't because they can't see. They're dependent on their eyes.
Right.
So he told me that, and I went and picked up some Keith Whitley stuff and started doing some Merle Haggard and some of the Waylon stuff, just some older country and stuff. And I said, you know, I can sing this. I can sing this actually at ease, you know. Mm-hmm. So when I got into it, you know, I was like in it, and I was believing the stories, and so that's what got me into country music. And with that being said, you were asking about the new country. There is some good new country out there. I just don't. A lot of it, I really don't dive too heavily in because I feel like a lot of times I'm kind of a multi-genre person. I got some different styles of music in my music, but at the end of the day, I'm a country music singer. The next song that I'm recording is Say Hello to Heaven, and it's a very powerful song, and it moves people, and it will move people a lot. And I think that life, I think really it's when you're singing country music, you're singing about life. You're singing about real stuff. You know, one of my dearest friends in country music was Earl Thomas Conley. He taught me a lot. I opened up a concert for him, and he gave me a lot of advice. He always used to tell me, I don't know what they're looking for. He said, but, you know, he said, you keep doing what you're doing, you're going to be okay. Keep doing it. And I did. I got a lot of advice from him. He also told me a couple of times, don't you ever get out here on drugs and alcohol, man. It's going to ruin your life, and it will. Mm-hmm. And it'll ruin your career. And, you know, I had good mentors in music, right, that it seemed like they were in place. It was weird because at my most unsure times, we're opening up for really big artists. And I was sitting there thinking, am I going to be accepted? You know?
Yeah.
I mean, I really didn't know. And I know that, like, a real good example was opening up for Travis Tritt. It was the very first concert I opened up for him was in Danville, Virginia at the Carrington Music Pavilion. And it seated probably 10,000 people or more, a whole lot of people. And so I go in there and I go out there, you know, no experience on one of those stages and started playing. And, you know, he actually told me, he said, do other people's music in the front end, and then at the end, give them your stuff. Because when I first went out, I thought I was supposed to play my own music. Mm-hmm. They didn't know it, you know. But when I would do an Eagle song or a Waylon song, they knew that, you know.
Right, you draw them in, and then you do the back end. I got you.
Exactly, yeah, and it works, and it's really, and so I learned so much. I had people writing plays for me, you know, to help me in the same way in the recording studios. When I started recording in studios, after my first album, I learned a lot about studio work and how to work in the studio, which is a total different environment.
Do you have any fun stories on the road?
I can't really tell you on here. No, there's been some really fun stories. I know when I was in Europe, I could tell you one that's kind of funny. We were on the motorway. We were coming out of London. We were going back to Hastings, England. And it was a long trip, and we stopped in like this little, it was like a gas station, a petrol over there, petrol station, and I got some milk, and I didn't realize it was bad. And so I drank that milk, It's just something I felt like I needed at the time. Here we are chugging down the road with the band and everything, and all of a sudden it hit my stomach, and I started getting sick. It was like and they were laughing at me, of course, because they used to pick on me and tell me that badgers were down in between the roads, down in the bottoms down there. It was really funny. So there was, a lot of interesting stories about it. Yeah. It was fun times. But there was good times and bad times. There was times when you starved to death, and you're out there trying to make it, trying to get out there and to the next paycheck, basically. Hand the pocket living, it happens most of the time in music anyway. You don't ever go into music thinking you're going to be rich one day, because it don't work that way, There's lots of hands in the pot. So that.
Right. Now, I know you said you have 7 albums. Is there a different differentiality from the ones you started to now, or is it the same kind of vibe to each of them?
There's different songs. That's like my last album. It's got some really pretty, I would call it pretty rootsy of what I would do, like Let the Good Times Roll and a couple of songs like that. And then they go to more of a pop country sound, So it's a lot of diverse stuff. I've got some stuff that sounds a little bit crossover, crossover into the easy rock market, and then some other stuff. I've got some that's really, really country. My ex-manager, we did some songwriting together, and a fellow named Gene Lemons, and we still work together a little bit on occasion, but we wrote some pretty interesting stuff. But a lot of times, I do all the music, and he would help with some of the lyrics, and, it just depends. I can definitely tell a difference when I would write with somebody else versus just myself,
What was your first big hit? Like the first song that you knew, all right, this is definitely going to sell?
Actually, it was on my first album. I had 2 of them. I had, 3 songs off that album did pretty good around Nashville. And the end, like with getting into songwriting competitions and stuff like that, was Living on Borrowed Time and Don't Leave Me Out in the Cold and Someone in Carolina. Those 3 songs right there kind of let me know that I was on my way. I really wasn't a real established songwriter at the time, but I wrote what I felt, and some of it got a little lengthy. I repeat myself a few times, but there were good ideas, So when I come in, I think the first competition I come in was like number 8 in one in Nashville, and I said, okay, well, I'm in the top 10, so I think this is like, I'm feeling this. It's doing okay, so I just need to learn to write better. And it's an art to writing a song, because I writing a song and try to get it under 5 minutes is really tough to get what you need to say across.
Right.
Really, it comes with time and wisdom. It comes with a lot of years. It comes with experience. Some young people, I've seen people, you take Jackson Browne, one of my heroes in music too. Somebody I do a lot of his songs. He wrote this song called These Days. He wrote that when he was 16, and if you listen to the lyrics of it, it's like a 16-year-old wrote this song, but it's because he was an old soul. He got it. He sat around and listened to people. And that's where a lot of it comes. I get my ideas from other people. A lot of times I hear stories. I've got a song called Big Time I got from a man, an older black man telling me a story about everybody he thought was big time. And so I just kind of took off and wrote a song off of that.
What's your, usual people you travel with? A bunch of people, or?
No, I've been by myself for a long time, and every now and then I'll have a guitar player come with me or another musician to accompany me, and what had happened with that deal was I had a full band opening up with David Allen Coe and Confederate Railroad, and in one of the shows, the stage hands, the stage monitor guy and the roadies and stuff on there pulled the drum kit off, and thought it was time for us to end, and we had 45 more minutes. So my fiddle player told the head sound engineer and the road manager, they were mad because they were thinking, we can't get them back on stage now. It's all, we done pulled it off. And my fiddle player pointed at me and told me he can do it by himself. And when my friend Dave Fulton done that, it was actually a door open up because they found out I could go out just me and my guitar and entertain people, and they liked it. So, so now I pretty much do all my shows that way now. And the whole reason being, I have people in Nashville that I can call them right now, and we could get together and play just like we play together for every day if I need the band in any time. But it's easier for me to go out by myself and do shows, and I do fairly well doing that. So I've been staying with that.
Yeah, well, what you do for hobbies? What do you do on your downtime?
I like to shoot archery, and I'm into martial arts. I started studying martial arts again.
Really?
Yeah, I like karate. Shooting can karate, and
yeah, no one can mess with you now once you learn that stuff.
Well, I enjoy it. I used to study it independently, and I started, working through a sensei now online, which is really cool, and it's a really good experience for me. It's good for your mind and your body. It's good exercise, and it's just good to balance your whole being. And I enjoy that. And there's a lot. I'm always learning something. I do chainsaw carving. So, like I said, I tell you, I'm legally blind. I'm not blind like that. I can't read small print.
Right.
From a long distance. I'm actually blessed with the eyes that I had because I went to school for the blind with people that were really bad off. And but they inspired me in a lot of ways.
All right, so tell me about this new album.
Yeah, it was released in March, and March of last in the spring, and it's doing pretty good. It's on Spotify and iTunes. Called "I Go Crazy," and it's a 9-song EP, and that's what I'm promoting right now. And it's got some really good music on there. Some that I've written and some that other people's written. The title song "I Go Crazy" it was like a '70s kind of hit, but we made it country. Some members of Reba McEntire's band and a couple of people who played with the Eagles. And it turned out really good. It's a really good album. We're real proud of it. And getting out there and promoting that. My promotional company has been really doing really good by promoting it. Lisa Swift's done a lot of good graphics for the social media platforms and that kind of thing. So we're just excited about getting it out there,
How long did this take to get put together?
Well, it's funny. 2 of the songs were older songs that I actually remastered and put on there.
Yeah.
Let the Good Times Roll and Someone in Carolina. They were songs that I'd written some years back, and I thought they'd be a good addition to the album. And me living in North Carolina, the great thing is I don't have to live in Nashville anymore. Fly there, drive there. I can get there in probably about under 7 hours. Depends on if I got a good driver. Depends how to drive, but we go. It was a process. It took about a couple of months, 3 months, 4 months to record because I had went down there on 2 occasions to sing a vocal on a track and got there and walked in. The producer sent me home because I had a cold or starting to get a cold, didn't sound right. So it was a long process. You got to look at, when you go to recording, if you're having bad allergies that day or whatever, you can't really put your best foot forward and sing. So you have to wait till you're cleared out. But it was a good process and a lot of fun doing the album. So we're real excited about it. I've got my promoters. I've got a website, michaelkennmusic.com, but it's under construction right now again. It's changed people who are handling it. But my promoters have Music City Digital Media, their website, and they put a lot of their artists on there, so it's been really good. So it's on there, and it's on some playlist on Spotify. It's on my Spotify channel, under Michael Kenn. I'm at 25,000 streams right now, so
wow,
it's been taking off pretty good. And I didn't know, when I picked that song, I Go Crazy, a publisher house in Nashville, they pulled a song that my promoter there at the time, and also my producer in the studio said, you got to do this song. This is you. It was a great song. I actually worked on the song for a month. It was like a wedding song. And recorded the song, got it almost recorded, and the publisher pulled the song on us. And they can do that because they own the song. We started tossing songs around, and they said, what song do you feel would be one that would be a hit? I said, well, I've been playing this song from the 70s and on my show. It's called I Go Crazy. So I played it on guitar in the studio, and Jeff Keane from Reba McEntire's band, he's a guitar player. and Shane Keister, which has done a lot of stuff. He actually played with Paul Davidson one time, and played with Dan Seals, and played with a lot of the old school people. They said, that's a good song, let's do it. So they put it together. So Shane went in there with the keyboards and started putting down all these beautiful riffs and stuff for the song. It actually came together.
Yeah, do you like to wind down with a beverage, if you know what I mean?
Yeah, oh yeah. Most of the time, yeah. Everybody's done and I'm starting.
What's your drink of choice?
Oh, I just drink beer these days. I'll drink a few beers or something, but, I don't know. I don't drink liquor or anything. I tell you a funny story. You asked me before about, do I have any funny stories of the road? Well, I've got a really good one. I can tell on myself now because it's over and done with, but there was a bar down there at the river there in Nashville, and my daddy and mom went to see us play one night. And me and the guys were playing with a bartender in there, and I'm not going to tell the name of the bar or the bartender now, but I'll tell you the story. She used to feed me bourbon and cokes. And so I'd be playing, and get through the first set, I'd drink one. Get through the second, I might drink two. Yeah, I did, because that was our wind down thing. I never played and drank ever, anywhere else, but this was like a place we could go play. We felt pretty relaxed, Well, I'd go in there, drink, I had about 4 or 5 probably through the night, along with the adrenaline and playing. Told my dad during the show, I said, why did you do tonight, didn't we? Because if you think so. In other words, you wasn't on your game drinking, so that was the last time I ever drank, on stage. I'll have a few when I get done, when I'm down,
So, Michael, before you go, who, in your opinion, is the greatest country singer of all time?
Oh, God, man. That's a real good question. Oh, man. I'll tell you one of the best voices who I listen to almost on a daily basis. Greatest country singer, I would say probably, in my opinion, there's 2 of them. It would be George Jones, and then my other one would be Daryl Singletary. He passed away at 47. I think it's in 2019. He had one heck of a voice,
Mm-hmm.
But there's so many of them. I mean, I take a lot from all of them, but they're all inspirations to me, Alan Jackson, all of them.
All right, man. Well, social media, what do you got to promote?
Well, we got Michael Ken on Facebook, and official Michael Ken on Twitter, and it's official Michael Ken on Instagram. You can find me there. And I have a LinkedIn page. I don't go to it, I have to be honest with you, enough. And I'm on ReverbNation.com under Michael Ken. So I'm a little bit everywhere.
All right, Michael. Well, I appreciate your time. This was a lot of fun.
Yeah, man. I appreciate you having me.
And keep me updated with everything you got going on, okay? Maybe we can come back and catch up.
Yeah, I will. Yeah, I'll do that. I appreciate you having me.
All right, man. Have a good night.
You too, man. I appreciate it.
All right, bye. All right, there you have it. That was my interview with country singer Michael Ken. I would like to thank him once again for coming on the podcast today. Also, I would like to thank you for being a loyal listener of the Sensibly Cynical podcast. If you could please subscribe, rate, and review us on iTunes, I would be highly, highly appreciative. Also, check us out on Twitter at Cynical Sensibly, Instagram Sensibly Cynical Pod, and you can check out our Facebook group. Please stay safe, mask up, and take care.